The Simpsons Game 2 was a cancelled platforming video game that was going to be the sequel to 2007's Simpsons Game. The original title was developed by EA Redwood Shores, which later became Visceral Games, and published by EA. At the time, the original game was well received by fans and critics alike, but has grown to become a cult classic, and a title that fans still would like to see return. Within a few months of release, EA announced The Simpsons Game had sold 4 million copies, so a sequel seemed guaranteed. As always, all the sources will be linked in the description below, so make sure to check those out and support those original writers. And with that out of the way, let's break down what happened to The Simpsons Game sequel and why it was cancelled. The news around a Simpsons Game sequel wasn't covered in gaming media until 2011, but a community member had noticed that 2 EA employees had references to a cancelled Simpsons Game sequel on their LinkedIn profiles. Unfortunately, the original tweet has been deleted and the LinkedIn profiles have been changed, so we are going off of information from the articles at the time because none of the original sources are there anymore. But the community member that noticed this happened sometime before 2009 based on other users tweeting about it, which makes sense that the development for this title would have started after the first game launched in October of 2007. So the team would have been working on a prototype in late 2007 or early 2008, and they would have had their profiles updated accordingly, and then for it to get cancelled probably happened in late 2008 or early 2009. And the first employee that was noticed was Gary Sakis, who claimed that he was the lead QA on the cancelled game, and the other employee was Matt Spriggins, who claims he was a level designer. And the reason we know the game this was referencing is because Matt listed his design work for a Simpsons 2 prototype, which given the time frame and work on the previous game, it makes sense they would be starting early work on a sequel. We also know the projects were already listed as cancelled on their LinkedIn profiles when the fans noticed it, which makes it sound like the prototype didn't make it too far past initial stages and was quickly cancelled in favor of other EA projects. Even though this prototype never materialized and not much else is known about it and what the sequel would look like, the prototype will most likely stay on an EA server somewhere until the end of time. But something that is interesting that's tangentially related is we do have the tech demo that was used to pitch the Simpsons game. It's another interesting video to show how far the title had come and what they were kind of thinking before they got all the rights and licensing sorted out. And I will play a little bit of that, but the whole video will be linked down below if you are interested, and it's a video that deserves way more than 1,000 views. And speaking of EA, the question always comes up as to why EA doesn't work on any Simpsons games anymore after securing the license and having an exclusivity agreement. I go into greater depth on my Simpsons Hit and Run remaster video, so I will link that down below if you are interested. But the answer is pretty simple. It's because they've decided to focus on the mobile game Simpsons Tapped Out, which has made the company a lot of money with not as much development cost and time as a full console release. So it really doesn't make sense for them to go and create a console experience when the mobile market is doing very well for them. There was hope that with the writers and producers of The Simpsons attending E3 2019, that a new game would be announced, but that was unfortunately not the case, and I wouldn't hold out too much hope for any future Simpsons titles until EA loses the rights, if that ever happens. But with how much money Tapped Out is making, I would say that's probably not going to happen for a while. Until then, we will just have to be satisfied with the original games and fans remaking and remastering Hit and Run, and that's basically all we can do. Either way, that's where I'm going to end this video, and that is why the Simpsons game sequel was cancelled. The team was all set to move forward on it, but was instead told to focus on other projects and ended up creating Dead Space. So it didn't end up all bad for the gamers, but I still would have loved to seen what a sequel would have looked like. Make sure to like and share, subscribe for weekly gaming news, and I will see you guys in the next one.